Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Let's switch gears. And you know who's not going to be just fine? It's the LSU Tigers. And listen, bottom line, I'll say what I always say on this show. I have followed Brian Kelly's career since the early days. I am a UConn alum back in the Big East football days when he was at Cincinnati. I have followed his career since then. I've always liked him. But this loss to me really opened my eyes. And it really made me sit back and it really made me think. We are now in year 3. You are getting blown out of the building. And I just got to ask a very simple question. Where is this LSU program in year 3 under Brian Kelly? Are we positive it's even in a better place than when he took it over? And I know it is because that year they were bad, whatever. But this team does not look elite. It does not play elite. And I don't think it is a very good team or very good program right now. And I'm starting to question, like, is this thing going in the right direction under Brian Kelly? And so let's go ahead and dive in. By the way, we just did a reaction to Bama. If you missed it, you can go back and listen. So for any Bama fan that's sitting there saying, oh, you're not giving us enough credit. No. We give you a ton of credit. 42-13 is a statement unto itself on the road in one of the toughest environments in college football. By the way, credit to LSU fans. It hasn't been a phenomenal year. It hasn't been a super fun team to watch. And you all showed up and showed out and had one of the best home field advantages all season long on Saturday. And so LSU fans deserve a better product that they got at home. And to me, when I look at this LSU team, there's just a couple things that stand out, okay? One, just an embarrassing performance, okay? At home, great crowd, huge environment. By the way, I just complimented Jalen Milroe, but you also know you saw Jalen Milroe just obliterate you a year ago. And so a year later, to not be able to stop Jalen Milroe again, for Jalen Milroe to have 185 yards rushing, 15 yards per carry, and 4 touchdowns, just like he did last year, that's inexcusable. But 2, it's not just Jalen Milroe. It's that you got beat up everywhere across the field, okay? Alabama rushed for 300 yards of total offense in this game. I know not all of it was Jalen Milroe, but enough of it was, and enough of it wasn't Jalen Milroe. When Alabama needed to run the ball right at you, they could. On offense, what are the highlights? There were none. And I know part of it was Garrett Nussmeier in the red zone throwing that interception, but let me put it this way. There was never a moment where maybe you feel different, LSU. There was never a moment where I felt like, oh, LSU is going to win this game. They should feel good. They should feel great. Let me take it a step further. Not only was there never a moment where I thought LSU was going to win this game. By the way, make sure you're following our Torres on LSU account as well, because we are our intern who helps run that. I told him, do what you got to do this week. Be honest, be sincere. But I bring it up because when I look at this LSU team, it's not just that you got embarrassed on Saturday night. To me, the scary part is that there was never a moment where I, as an outside observer, felt like it was even going to be competitive. Now, maybe that's a little bit unfair because if you score that touchdown early in the second half, it's maybe a different game. But it never looked like it was going to be competitive. And this has been my thing with LSU. And this is where I'd be concerned if I was an LSU fan, and I'm sure many of you are. One thing you could say about LSU, you could go through the years. Sometimes they've been really well coached, and sometimes they have not been, okay? Sometimes Les Miles is eating grass on the sideline, or Coach O is doing his own thing, or whatever. But you never question the talent in the building. You never question how your guys lined up with the other team's guys. And I look at LSU, I don't really see very much special right now. And think about some of the vintage LSU teams. Think about some of the non-vintage LSU teams, all the great players that have come through that program that are just freaks, that even on a field of other freaks look different than the freakiest of all freaks, okay? Think about LSU's players through the years. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Did you see Jamar Chase on Thursday Night Football? The NFL defensive backs could not stop him. Jaden Daniels, you probably heard he's having a pretty good rookie year. Patrick Peterson in previous years, Tyrann Mathieu still in the league, the Honey Badger. Joe Burrow, he's not a freak athletically, but one, he's better than you think. But two, think about all those guys that have come through LSU. Now look at this particular team. Malik Neighbors, by the way, Brian Thomas. I could go on and on. But let me ask a simple question. Who on this LSU team scares you? And that's been my big thing from the beginning. I go back to the USC game. I say, okay, they have one great wide receiver that I can see in Kyron Lacey. Aaron Anderson is pretty fast, but it hasn't translated just yet, okay? They have one super freaky wide receiver. They have one super freaky tight end, Mason Taylor, who, I think is underrated. It stinks that whatever. But he is a freak of freaks, okay? Then you got one really good defensive player in Braden Swinson. And after that, where are the freaks? By the way, the O-line that I keep being told there's 2 first-rounders out. They can't move the football. I know there was a guard that was out for this game. The point I'm trying to make is that LSU has always they don't even look that way anymore. And this is now year 3 under Brian Kelly. And you can't use the excuse of, there were big holes and there was this and there was that and Coach O this and Coach O that. It's like, no, at some point, these are mostly your guys. Let me also add this. I was thinking about this on Saturday night. I tweeted it out. Aaron_Torres. And again, Torres on LSU on Twitter. Let me ask a question. LSU, we are now 9 games into the season. We are 3/4 of the way through the season for the LSU Tigers. In my opinion, I think they've basically played one really good game. One elite. Think about their schedule right now. This is LSU. Or sometimes whatever. But you always compete at the highest level against the best teams. Well, think about LSU's schedule. Get destroyed. I take that back. Lose to USC. USC stinks, okay? That loss gets worse and worse every single week. You lose to USC. You get destroyed by Texas A&M. By the way, this Alabama game just looked like an extension of the second half of Texas A&M where you just got beat up along the line of scrimmage. By the way, the Ole Miss game, great win on paper. You never let in that game until the final whistle. Don't want to undersell, comeback, overtime, whatever. You never led until the final whistle. South Carolina, you were way down, and you would have lost if Lenora Sellers, their starting quarterback, didn't get hurt. UCLA, tied at the half. Now, UCLA is maybe a little bit better than we realized at the time, but it's like, name me the great start-to-finish performance for LSU. Arkansas. That's it. Beat the crap out of Arkansas and Fayetteville. That's the only one. Other than that, you haven't been very good. And here's the crazy part with LSU. This is the year the schedule actually broke in your favor. No Georgia, no Tennessee, no Texas. Ole Miss at home, Alabama at home. That's with the schedule breaking in your favor. And so where is this team and where is this program right now? One great start to finish performance by LSU. Can't say the same about Texas or whoever. Like it's one thing to lose because you don't have as good players. It's another thing because you just don't look good for whatever. But then two, you also just don't have the players. And that's where it comes down to me is like, where are we at with this Brian Kelly thing? I like Brian Kelly. I still think he's got some mojo and some juice. And the one thing I will say, 2024 recruiting class was really, really good. They basically got every guy out of Louisiana that they wanted. And then 2025, obviously the class is coming together really strong, headlined by Bryce Underwood, the number one quarterback in America. First off, make sure you hold on to Bryce Underwood, because I remember saying this about Billy Napier a year ago with DJ Lagway. I said, if somebody flips DJ Lagway at the last minute, I don't know why you're keeping Billy Napier beyond this year. And I'm not saying you get rid of Brian Kelly off back-to-back 10-win seasons and a season where he could go 9-3 this year and maybe get a 10th win in the postseason. But what I will say, I'm not saying Brian Kelly's got to get fired. But what I'm saying is you better hold on to Bryce Underwood, because right now on this roster, there isn't much to be excited about going forward. I think Bryce Underwood does bring that. But LSU, man, I don't know what else there is to say. Just frustrating, just disappointing, and just disappointing on how they look and where this program is. I just don't think they're very good right now. So Alabama gets the victory. They're still very much in the playoff race. LSU, I'm not so sure. All right, that's what we're going to do. Take a quick break. When we come back, we got to talk about the other big one in the SEC. Ole Miss hosting Georgia. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty. Ole Miss gets the win, and there is a lot